Hello and welcome. My name is Kevin Wayne Johnson. I am the founder and the Chief Executive Officer of the Johnson Leadership Group, and I am the creator of the Leaders Are Learners Academy. I want to thank you so much for making an investment in your future, in your career progression, and your leadership journey. Welcome to How to Be a Real Success. We are going to look at the word real, in particularly REAL, relationships, equipping, attitude, and leadership as a part of this masterclass. And you will find there in your resources section of the class, you'll find that there is a trifold brochure. You have a copy of your participant workbook where you'll be able to take notes and answer a number of different questions and filling in the blanks. So that is your document for you to hang on to. You will also be able to access a copy of the PowerPoint slides, and you will see that I have uploaded an image or two to sort of highlight the relationship, equipping, attitude, and leadership component of the curriculum that we will cover together. And then last but certainly not least, in order to supplement the content, we have uploaded a series of different videos for you, 3 different videos that highlight the key components of relationships, that highlight the key components of leadership, as well as equipping. I believe that you will enjoy each of these videos. What's really neat about the masterclass is that throughout your time here, you'll have a chance to pause and stop and go back and do a reflection and a self-assessment, especially as you answer the quizzes and as you go through the various content. So take notes, by sure. Highlight, underline, and circle those parts that we cover together that really relate to you where you are at the front line, mid-level, or senior level in your career. And make the most out of the time and the information that we will cover together. It'll be very meaningful as a part of your leadership journey. Now, in your participant guide, in your handbook, you can turn over to page number 3, and you'll see that we have developed a table of contents for you, and this will give you an overview of what we will cover. And we've also broken the masterclass down into the 4 different lesson plans: relationship, equipping, attitude, and leadership. So you'll see we'll spend some time on session 1, of course, first, as we dive into relationship rules, and then we'll move into lesson 2, where we'll talk a little bit more about what it means to equip people. Session number 3 will focus on our attitude. Having the right attitude makes a real big difference in terms of our trajectory in our career. And you'll find that these strategies and principles apply for both your personal and your professional development. And then last but not least, in session number 4, we'll wrap it up by having another look at leadership and what it all means. Now, the word success in and of itself is subjective. I get it, I understand. But whether it means to you how you're progressing in your career, how you're raising your family, pursuing your education, being able to lead people in a very effective way, the car you drive, the house you live in, your relationships with your family, however you define success, you'll find that it ties back into our relationships, our ability to equip others, the attitude and the overall outlook that we have on life, and leadership as well. So on that note, let's dive right in. Let's start out by taking a look at that word success and what it all means. Turn over to page number 6 in your participant guide as you follow along, and you'll see at the very top of the page Session number one. So, Earl Wilson helps us to understand this concept right off the bat. He says success is simply a matter of luck. Ask any failure. So, how you define success has everything to do with number one, knowing your purpose in life. Why are you here? What are you created to do? What difference are you going to make as a result of us coming into your presence? Success is also defined as growing, and growing, what we mean is to your maximum potential. Everything that resides within you, you're always growing, you're always developing, and you're always looking to get better. That's what's so nice about the leadership journey. And then, of course, sowing seeds that benefit others. In this life, we are so fulfilled when we take focus off of self and start to look at others. And so this is all about relationships. The aura in REAL is about relationships. And here on page 6 in your participant guide, you'll see here that it's the ability to work with people. You'll see the quote there from the former president, Teddy Roosevelt. And you'll also see where it says that in actual studies of leadership in American business, it has been proven that the average executive spends 3/4 of his or her working day dealing with people. That's 75%. So, what's really interesting about this whole dynamic is that success is 87% people knowledge and 13% product knowledge. And that comes from Stanford University. This is Stanford University research. 87% people knowledge, understanding people, developing relationships, key relationships, good relationships, solid relationships, and 13% product knowledge. Very interesting for us to know and to walk along with in our leadership journey. At the top of page number 7, you'll see where we say most people can trace their successes and failures to the relationships in their lives. Very much so. It's all tied back to people that we are connected with. Some people add to our lives. Some people subtract from our lives. Some people multiply our lives, and some people divide our lives. Isn't it interesting that we went to some mathematics and arithmetic in terms of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division as it relates to relationships with people? Now, success is, like we said, 13% product knowledge and 87% people knowledge. So it's much more important, as much as we know and as much as we value our subject matter expertise and our acumen, because let's face it, that's why we get hired, because we've demonstrated that we have the know-how. But success really ties back to the relationships that we have with people, because we are very, very relational. That's just who we are. So when you take a look at these relationship rules, you'll find that you and I need to love and accept yourself. Starts with us. You have to be content in your own skin. You have to kind of like and love who you are, so that when you go out into the world, you are now in a position and you're much more apt to be able to work with people and deal with people. Number 2, we find that we have to put energy into being likable, right? It takes some work. I pride myself on presenting myself as someone who is friendly and approachable. That's how I not only create relationships, but also establish relationships as well. Number three is remember their names. So all of these images are sort of echoing what's here on page number 7 toward the bottom. Love and accept yourself. Put energy into being likable. And then number three, remember their names. This is all about relationship building. Number four, focused on their interests. Number five is request the help of others. And then number six is add value to people. So if you apply each of these principles and each of these strategies and tools to your current toolbox as a leader, and again, it doesn't matter what level, frontline, mid-level, or senior level, now we're talking about you being on your way to success, however you define it, because you have demonstrated that you love and accept yourself. You are actually putting energy into being likable. You actually remember people's names. People love to be called by their names and they want to know that you actually remember them. Focus on their interests. Request the help of others because we have to surround ourselves by others that have a little bit more information and know how than we do. And then, last but not least, add value to other people. And in essence, that's what that particular puzzle is intended to show. Now, how do we add value to people? Take a look at the next page, page number 8 in your participant guide. And we add value to people when we truly value people. That's the first one. The next one is we make ourselves more valuable. And then the next one is we know and relate to what they value. So this term value has everything to do with building up, lifting people up, helping them to feel confident about themselves. We are people of value that add value to others. That's really, in essence, what leaders are and what leaders do. That's our charge. So, as people of value, we add value to other people. Take a look at number 7 here on page number 8. Follow what we call the 101% principle. 101%. Find that 1% that you agree on and give it 100% of your effort. Right? That's the 101% principle. The next one is love people more than opinions, because opinions are something everyone has and we may or may not agree, but if we can usher in unconditional love to people, wow, now we are building relationships and we're sustaining relationships on our way to being successful. Follow the golden rule is the next one. You know the golden rule. Everyone knows that. That's universal. Just treat people the way that you would want to be treated. That's a universal principle. And then last but not least here on page number 8, seek out resources to help you to grow to relational skills. So this masterclass is one of many different resources that you have access to that you can tap into to get more information, more insight, more education, more knowledge, more awareness in terms of where you are and where you want to go, again, in your career progression and in your leadership journey. Now, let's take an introspection and let's take a relationships inventory. On page number 9 there in your participant book, we have 10 questions for you. And we're going to ask you to just rate yourself. This is the honor system, of course. Everything we do is the honor system because we have a number of these different quizzes that you will take that will give you insight to where you are and give you some ways of thinking about how to improve and how to get better. So if you give yourself a 1, that represents always. And if you give yourself a never, that represents a 5. So between 1 to 5, on a scale of 1 to 5, how do you rate yourself on these 10 questions? Again, if the answer is always, then it will be a 1. And if the answer is never, it's a 5. And if it's somewhere in between, then you give yourself a 2, 3, or a 4. Go ahead and take just a few minutes and respond to those questions. And like I said in the very outset, this is an opportunity during this masterclass where you can put it on pause, sort of think about it, let it process, and then you can continue to go forward. So go ahead and answer those questions. And then when you're done with those questions, turn over to the very next page, page number 10. And now we're going to ask you to take a look at these 4 questions that'll give you an opportunity to write them out. Give examples, be specific, think about it. So between taking the relationships inventory and answering the 4 questions on page number 10, it may take you maybe 5 to 7 minutes to complete that. But go ahead and complete that. And then again, because this workbook is yours, it'll give you the opportunity to come back, review, process, take a look at, and again, you can go back and take a look at the PowerPoint slides as well. All right. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Now we're going to move into lesson number 2. Lesson number 2 is equipping, and we're on page 12 now. So this has to do with the fact that great leaders grow their vision from me to we, from I to you, but more specifically, from me to we. Because good leaders understand that equipping other people is part of our charge. That's part of what we're responsible to do. And it's really, really interesting. Take a look at what we call the law of significance. 1 is too small a number to achieve greatness. We need a team around us. We need like-minded people that can tap into our potential as we tap into their potential, and we can cover their weaknesses, and we can cover their weaknesses, and then we become one big team. TEAM, together, everyone achieves more. And it's very, very key, again, in our leadership journey. On page number 12, you'll see here are some reasons why people fail to equip others. Just some. It's not all inclusive, but here are some reasons. The first one is hard work. You'll never hear me say that our leadership journey is easy, but it is doable. Well, because I've done it, and I've known a lot of people who have done it, and I still know a lot of people who are doing it. But it is hard work. It requires a lot of sacrifice, a lot of dedication, and a lot of commitment. Number 2, we underestimate people. This is why people fail to equip others. We underestimate people. It's not always about your educational level or where you live or who you know or who knows you. Oftentimes it's just a matter of tapping into people and showing them that you have belief in them and that you have faith in them to give them the confidence to move out on the gifts that they have. Number 3, we enjoy doing the tasks ourselves. Well, one of the key reasons why we were moved into leadership positions is because we did unequivocally prove to many people in the organization that we have the subject matter expertise to get the work done. We were able to prove that. We rolled up our sleeves and we got to work. But as a leader, we are now entrusted to take care of the people that will do the work. But sometimes, every now and again, we get that itch and we just want to do it ourselves. Well, That's one of the reasons why we fail to equip others, because we're doing it ourselves instead of delegating it to them and giving them the support and the advocacy that they need to get it done. Number four, we receive ego strength from being needed. Oh, sometimes our egos can get big because so many people are counting on us to get things done. Don't let that happen to you. Don't get ego strength. Number five, we are in the habit of doing everything. That's not uncommon. The more you do it, the more it does become a habit, especially if you do it on a repeating basis, like constantly recurring and continual. It does become a habit. But just like number three, where we find that we enjoy doing the task ourselves, we just have to be careful. And that's why we're transitioning from me to we. Number six, we want to keep control. It's not uncommon. I've seen it happen many times. And number seven, we don't notice the leadership potential in those around us. And so, in order to avoid that from happening, we have to be laser focused and pay close attention to the men and women that are within our sphere of influence so that we can start to discern and start to observe and pick up on their gifts, their abilities, and their knowledge and their know how in terms of getting things done. So, those are 7 reasons why we fail to equip others. But remember this law of significance: one is too small a number to achieve greatness. We need each other, and equipping will lead us toward the success that we're looking to achieve. On page number 13, here's your next inventory, your next assessment. This is an opportunity to do a self-reflection. And again, as we did under the relationships inventory, for the equipping inventory, we have 7 questions for you to think about, for you to read through, for you to process. If the answer is always, circle number 1. And if the answer is never, circle number 5. Or choose 2, 3, or 4 if it's somewhere in between. And this is your opportunity to just take your time, read through these questions, answer honestly, because it is truly an inventory and something for you to go back and take a look at and reflect upon. And so it's very important as a part of our learning together and our time together in terms of what we're doing. Now, next page is page number 14, and you'll see at the very top, now we're talking about some teamwork laws. So here are some laws and some principles to follow as it relates to equipping. All about teamwork. At the very top of the page, the law of significance, like we already said, 1 is too small a number to achieve greatness. The law of Mount Everest says, as the challenge escalates, the need for teamwork elevates. Now we need more people to join on board, because with leadership and with the challenges that are before us, there's responsibility, there's accountability, and there's visibility. And we need good people, men and women, to surround us and us them so that we can be successful as a team. So here are 3 what we call Mount Everest questions. 3 Mount Everest questions right there in the middle of the page on page 14. The first one is this: what is my dream? Number 2, who is on my team? And number 3, what should my dream team look like? So what could be, what is, and what must be. And that goes back to this principle that we call the law of Mount Everest, because as the challenge escalates, the need for teamwork elevates. So, what is my dream? Who is on my team? And what should my dream team look like? This is all about equipping, building up a time of preparation, looking out for. All of those are synonymous with equipping. So, here are some questions that we would like for you to answer. And also, over on page number 15, we have for you what's called thought provokers, and it also continues over to page number 16. So, this masterclass is really intended for you to really think hard about where you are in your journey, where you are in your career progression. And at the bottom of page 14, answer these 5 questions. Take your time. It may take 5 minutes, it may take 10 minutes. You take your time to respond to these questions. And again, this is something that you'll always have an opportunity to go back and take a look at a future date. At the top of page 15, there are what we call thought provokers. And these thought provokers are now additional questions to get you to think a little bit deeper beyond the initial questions in terms of steps that you can take as it relates to equipping. And then the last question concludes over on page number 16. So again, this masterclass gives you the opportunity to pause, to stop, to reflect as you go through the respective inventories and you answer all of the questions that we have for you. This is intended to help you in your leadership journey because this is all about what we call real, real leadership, relationships, equipping, attitude, and then ultimately leadership as well. Now you'll see here that the Mount Everest that we talked about is that challenge. And this is an image that I wanted you to have a chance to see as you begin the process of thinking about and still writing, or maybe have already completed your questions and your thought provoking questions that we have for you. And this has everything to do with starting out with me on that Mount Everest climb. But as you can see, as it escalates and we need to elevate, now we're bringing in our respective team so we can get it done. All right. That takes us now to lesson number 3. Lesson number 3 is attitude. You've heard it before. Our attitude determines our altitude. I do believe that. I embrace that. I believe in it absolutely. So on page number 18 there in your participant guide, this is lesson number 3. It's all about the attitude. Hugh Downs, you probably know that name. Hugh Downs says that a happy person is not a person with a certain set of circumstances, but rather a person with a certain set of attitudes, plural attitudes. So you can see from left to right, we have an example of a signpost, and then we have a thank you note, and then we have a young man who just seems to be thrilled with life. Looks like he's in the process of jumping into a lake of water or maybe a pond, just having himself a blast. It appears to be summertime. And on page number 18 here in your participant guide, you'll see that psychologists have found that when people are appraised for promotion, company executives look at a person's number 1, ambition, number 2, skills, number 3, attitude toward the company, number 3, attitude toward people, and the last one is attitude toward excessive demands on time and energy. Interestingly enough, the first one is ambition, the second one is skilled, and then number three, four, and five are all attitude. Leadership has less to do with position than it does with disposition. Just having a can do attitude, we can get this done. Let's take a look at this glass that's halfway filled with water. And while it is halfway empty, just look at the glass as actually being half full. It's all about attitude. And it gets us to places that people without the right attitude just do not make it. So on page number 19, again, as a part of this masterclass, we're going to ask you to take some time to go through these 5 questions. This is your attitude inventory. You're going to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5. 2 through 4 is somewhere in the middle. Never is 5, and always is a 1. And it'll give you an idea of where you are today and perhaps putting a plan in action so that we can make the necessary improvement and make the necessary adjustments as we go forward. Now, at the very bottom of the page, as you complete your responses to those questions, now we want you to take a look at what have I discovered about our attitude? What have I discovered about our attitude? Because we're on our way to being a success, however you define that word. So number one here at the bottom of page 19 is this. Our attitude is a choice, right? It's a choice of our free will. Number two, our attitude determines our approach to life. Do you see things in an optimistic way or a pessimistic way? So number two is our attitude determines our approach to life. And then number three, our attitude can turn our problems into blessings, something more favorable. We may run up against an obstacle or two. We may get knocked down a time or two, but really we can turn that around with our attitude and we can make it something much more favorable than what it may actually appear. Now, on the next 2 pages, page number 20 and 21, here are a series of questions, both continuing with your attitude inventory and then moving into the 5 what we call thought provokers. This may take you 5 to 10 minutes or even more. There's no time limit. You take your time in this masterclass to get the most out of the content and the curriculum that we have provided. But we have 5 questions here around the attitude inventory. Take your time, answer those questions. And then immediately following, go into the 5 thought provokers. And you'll have an opportunity again to just jot down your responses there in your participant guide to give you a flavor for where you are now. And then at any time, a week from now, a month from now, 6 months from now, you can pick up this booklet and go back and take a look at what your responses were then, as of today, versus how you have grown and developed and matured at some time in the future. So take your time, 5, 10, 15 minutes, however long it takes. This is your masterclass, and you take your time. All right, this brings us now to lesson number 4. Look at the conductor go. Look at how intent and serious he looks. He's focused, laser focused on leading the symphony orchestra, the 26 instruments that are being played, the violin and the viola and the piccolo and the flute and the clarinet and the oboe and the French horn and the saxophone and the trumpet, and all of the percussion that's going, and the piano and the harp and the drums and the cymbal and the triangle, the guitar. I could go on and on and on, not to mention the singers that you probably can't see, whether it's a soloist or a 15, 30, maybe 25 person choir that's in the background. The conductor is in complete control. And what's interesting about this is what you see at the very bottom, what we call the law of the lid. Leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. That's what the law of the lid represents. So here in your participant guide, page number 22, this is lesson 4, and this is all about leadership. Now, right under leadership, you have the law of the lid, and you also have what we call the law of process. In this particular example, and in this particular strategy, the law of process says that leaders develop daily, not in a day. So it's an ongoing, gradual, never ending process that we go through together to develop our own leadership skills as well as the skills of others within our sphere of influence. We overestimate the event and we underestimate the process. So that's why we have come up with the term the law of process. It's ongoing, it never stops. Leaders are learners, that's the name of this academy, and leaders are readers as well. Very important, never as a part of your journey. Very, very important. Now, here are some things that leaders do, what leaders are actually responsible for. Here is how we interact with others. Think about this as it goes in this clockwise motion. Leaders challenge, we inspire, we enable, we model, or be the example, and we also encourage, because people do need encouragement as they go along the way in the process. At the bottom of the page, page number 22, let me walk you through these 5. First of all, here are what leaders do. Number 1, leaders challenge the process. Number 2, leaders inspire a shared vision. Number 3, leaders enable others to act. Number 4, leaders model the way. We are the example that we want people to emulate, and so it starts with us. And then number 5, leaders encourage the heart. That's where the emotion resides, in the heart. So we challenge, we inspire, we enable, we are the example, the model, and we are encouragers. These are the things that leaders do. So this is all part of the relationship, the equipping, the attitude, and then the leadership that we bring to our teams and to our organizations. It's applicable to our personal and our professional development, and this is how we are successful. Again, depending on how you define the word success, but this is how we ultimately are learning to be a real success. That's exactly what we're talking about. And so on the very next page, page number 23, is now your leadership inventory. And we'll ask you to answer these 5 questions on a scale of 1 to 5. Again, 5 never, 1 always. And these inventory questions will then lead you into the 5 longer questions where you get to write out your answer. So the inventory is more of a inspection, an introspection, and an assessment. And then the questions get you the opportunity to actually write them out so that you can always have something to go back and look upon and sort of marinate and digest on as it relates to this particular topic around how to be a real success. Take your time, 5, 10, 15 minutes. And this masterclass will also give you the chance again to go back and take a look at the PowerPoint slide, to go back and review your participant guide, and not to mention take a look at the videos, because the videos will be a very much helpful aid as you go through and you kind of understand. For example, we have a video clip from the movie Patch Adams, and you'll have a chance to see a commentary of about 3 minutes on how you go about treating people. Well, that's part of lesson one with the relationships, how you treat a person. Robin Williams was the lead actor, and he does a magnificent job, and it gives you a chance to reflect on it and think about it. And then in lesson two, equipping, John Maxwell himself gives us an executive summary of the 5 levels of leadership and how those different 5 levels of leadership help us to equip other people. And then the third video is found there in this section, lesson number 4, where we have a inspirational message from a number of different powerful people on the topic of leadership. It starts with Denzel Washington, where he's asking us, do more than just what we do day in day, but do something that will make a positive difference in the lives of other people. So those videos will definitely be a help as you go through your session together. So I want to thank you so very much for your investment into your leadership journey, into this masterclass. I am very hopeful that you find the content and the curriculum to be very useful. If you have any questions whatsoever on anything that we've covered, you can reach me at the Johnson Leadership Group at gmail.com. The Johnson Leadership Group at gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. And again, this is Kevin Wayne Johnson with the Johnson Leadership Group and also the Leaders Are Learners Academy. I enjoyed my time with you. Thank you again so much. All the best on your journey. Bye-bye.